given the geopolitical and geostrategic environment and subsequent significance of the events going on in the Mullah regime, not the least of which is you're seeing organization operational ties between the elements that comprise what I call the Autocratic Block, which is Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, Chinese Communist Party that's illegally occupied mainland China since 49, the Mullah regime that's illegally occupied Iran since 1979, the North Korean regime, all their substrate transnational actors, and the rest of it. So that's the block, and you have the United States-led Western alliance. That's true. So those things are very much, all those actors are very much in play. That does not mean that you cannot, that there's a moral equivalency between, say, the Mullah regime that is illegally occupied Iran since 79 and anti-Mullah elements that are assisting the brave Iranian protesters that are fighting back against said Mullah regime. I mean, like, there's no moral equivalency between those two, right? I mean, Armin's kind of like, I'm going to bounce off the point. It's kind of like this saying that there's a moral equivalency between the Mullah regime that's illegally occupied Iran and has a unique history of friggin' brutality to include like mass use of sexual assault and rape and murder to facilitate their oppression is somehow the same as, say, I don't know, the Mossad or the CIA or Western intelligence or NGOs that are trying to assist, or Elon Musk assisting Iranian protesters in trying to throw off that shackle is so unbelievably insulting and or disingenuous to the struggle of people who are tired of being brutalized. What that argument is akin to this. You have, let's say you have two people, you have a cop and a rapist, right? And you have a victim. The victim is the Iranian people, the cop is the United States led Western Alliance, rapist is the Mullah regime. And the cop and the rapist are actually twins, and they're even using the same weapon, right? Engaging to as they're engaging in this activity. That does not mean there's a moral equivalency between the cop and the rapist, even though they're twins and they're using the same pistol. Power is not evil in and of itself. It's how you apply it. And if you're going to, how do you measure that? Well, if you're taking a maximum consequentialist approach, Reid, how do you do the most good for the most people? And you're using indexes like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can actually quantitatively define that.
I saw a concerning tweet by Neil Berg today that 30,000 people were in Tehran's Behesht Zera cemetery. Sorry, 30,000 people have been murdered and then buried in the cemetery. Not just were at the cemetery. Now, I don't know whether this is true, but I'm anxious about whether the death toll could be hundreds of thousands and not tens of thousands. And I'm also confused about what proportion of the violence is specifically from January 8th and 9th when the Shah called for action, because I understand that the violence right now is horrible, but I don't understand if it's escalated since January 8th, 9th, or if it was equally horrible then and we're just finding out about it now. So this is a question towards people who are in contact with people in Iran right now.
So, based on what I'm hearing, that the number of people that the Islamic Republic has massacred is way higher than the numbers people suggest. And I don't want to say how much higher because it might be wrong, but the 20, 30,000 numbers, people in Iran are saying that that's a joke. Like, a lot of people are saying that the floor is 50,000. Again, all of this has to be evaluated and we have to wait, but it seems like it's much higher than the numbers that are being reported right now in Western media. So we have to wait and see what the actual numbers are. This is another report that we're getting that we have to wait for it to be confirmed. A lot of people who have been arrested, they don't have room for them, and they also don't want to have executions for them because Trump is sensitive about that right now. They're just killing them, shooting them, and mixing their bodies with the people who died during the first day of the protests. They're just shooting the prisoners and then mixing their bodies with the dead people and making it seem like they died in the streets in the revolution, right? There's also a lot of, by the way, now that I'm mentioning this, I also have to remind people that a lot of the body bags that they're moving around, there's people's voices coming out of them. So when they're picking up the bodies and putting them in the body bags, they don't, like, they're mixing the dead people with the injured people and they're just treating them all like that. Like a lot of people that are like in the trucks and everything, when they're seeing the piles of dead, supposedly dead bodies, there's people's voices are coming from the piles of dead bodies. Like people are basically slowly dying in the bodies that are supposed to be dead. So they just they don't care. Like, and also like a lot of the people who were supposed to have died in the streets, they have hospital clothing on, they have those tubes on their hand and hospital tags around their wrist or stuff like that, which shows that the regime is going into the hospitals where people have been injured. This is why a lot of people are not, when they get injured, they don't go to the hospital, because the regime is just going from, sometimes in some hospitals they're going from bed to bed and shooting people. And a lot of people who have hospital clothing on and were basically, their bodies were delivered as if they died in the streets. They had the shots right into their head, which shows that they just went to the bed and they shot people in their heads in some cases. Also, one thing I mentioned in the show is important that I mention here as well. A lot of the people who have been killed, the regime is not delivering the body to the family unless they pay for the bullets, and apparently they're asking for a lot of money. So imagine basically paying the regime for the bullets that they use to kill your daughter, for example, right? If you can't afford it, a lot of times they get you to come, and they have to, you have to actually testify that your child or your father or your brother or whatever was part of the besiege and was killed by Zionists. Use imagine, for example, being a mother and wanting the body of your son, and the regime is making you come and make the claim that your son was with us and the Zionists killed your son. So you have to imagine the mother having to come and make a claim that, oh, my son was actually part of the people who actually, were the people who killed your son. So a lot of families are refusing that. So if you don't pay and if you don't give a testimony like that, a lot of people are just being buried in mass graves when their bodies are not being delivered to the family. And some families are having just ceremonial funerals, like having symbolic burials for their loved ones, because they don't actually have the body, and the regime is not giving them the body. So they're just having symbolic funerals as if they buried a body. So that's happening as well. So Danny, I don't even know if did I answer your
Yeah,
question.
yes,
Oh,
put it in the chat.
Danny, is it okay if I make you a mod?
Sure. I
Okay.
passed off the list to BT, so she will be the mod for the rest of this. I put the
So let me
tweet
look.
in the chat. It's got a WhatsApp and Farsi, so I can't read that at all. And also, one more thing that I just noticed: is his picture the wrong sun line and sun flag? Because that looks like a knifey sun.
Wait, where are you talking about? Because I was
On
looking at
Raleig's
multiple.
picture in the call.
Oh, did you post another thing?
No, just look at Raleigh Melancon's profile picture in the call.
Oh, rally. Oh, let me see.
I'm just curious.
That seems like an AI generated lion and sun. So it
Like,
doesn't look like the ones that I usually see.
okay, because I think
I'm
the
not sure.
sun is the MEK sun, but
Yeah,
I do kind of see
yeah.
black.
It is a bit close to the MEK lion and sun. So I think you want to change that.
Alright.
Just use this one. This is the safe one. Just look at this one. Okay. So, by the way, guys, Newberg is doing a great job. It is important to pay attention to her post. However, I'm pretty sure she would agree that the only way for you to be 100%, like not 100%, like more sure that something is real is that if it's been verified by somewhere like, I don't know, Manoto or Iran International. I mean, even then, it's not 100% guaranteed, right? But I'm not saying to dismiss these posts, but just be careful. We have to like, for us to become more sure that it's true, we have to wait for those outlets to be able to verify some of this information, right? So do you want me to read the post, like the Persian part of the post, or like, is that your question?
Yes,
So
please.
Neil Berg post is saying 38,000 have been murdered and then buried in Tehran's Behesh Zahra cemetery. These are the numbers for only one location. Tehran has many cemeteries. This is a genocide event. Stop saying 12 to 20,000. This goes so far beyond anything they've reported. So Here's the thing: what she says is, for me, is believable. Okay, I'm just gonna wait before I confirm that this is the real data. Okay, I'm not, but I'm saying that I would not be surprised if this is correct. So yeah, the guy is basically, they were talking about the USSR Abraham Lincoln coming. So they were talking about that news, and he says that he thinks that 55,000 people have died. And the guy is asking, "How do you know?" He says, "Just in Behesh Zahra ceremony, there were at least 38,000 bodies." So that's what they're saying in that WhatsApp message. By the way, remember, this is an assessment of one person who is like not a journalist, based on what they're saying on the ground. So they might be correct, they might be wrong. We have to be skeptical, right? I honestly think the numbers are even higher than what they're saying in that post, like if I had to guess. But we have to be skeptical. We have to be skeptical.
I lean more on your side, actually, that there's more truth in these numbers because my logic goes from the behavior of the regime that I see, it's worse. I lean on the worst side, not the reasonable side.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, who's next? And guys, close your mics if you're not speaking, because
Hassan, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me all right?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Armin, I would first like to express again my unwavering support for the Iranian people who are in the process of toppling this brutal regime that currently rules Iran, unfortunately. The details that you've described, if people really investigate and look into it, I don't know how any human can have any doubts about the fact that this regime needs to go, especially the details that you're describing. I mean, it would just shake any human. The question that I have for you might come across as a little bit cross for the moment that we're in, but I just want to ask you. You said earlier that there are reports of mercenaries joining in the IRGC forces to combat Iranian protesters. And you also mentioned somewhere that Pakistanis were involved. I just want to ask you, do you have any verifiable or any sort of evidence that would point in that direction? Because here's what I would say. I'm really asking it so that I can show people here that there are people going from Pakistan to aid the brutal Iranian regime.
Yeah. First of all, I do appreciate that you said all of that. The information that I got was, this was reported from Iran International. I'm not saying that anything Iran International says is 100% correct, but at these moments is one of the more reliable sources. They usually do a lot of fact
Of
checking
course.
before they report something like that. So that's where I saw it. They basically, what they said is, from they identify three groups, three militia groups that the Islamic Republic has been using: Hashd Shabi, Fatimiyun, and Zainabiyun. So for people who know the Islamic Republic proxy groups, these are Shia proxy groups in different countries. So Pakistan is mostly Sunnis, but the Zainabiyun in Pakistan is Shia, and the Islamic Republic funds them, trains them, and uses them. So Fatim is from Afghanistan, Zainab is from Pakistan, Hashd Shabi, otherwise known in English as the Popular Mobilization Front, is from Iraq. And these are the three groups that the regime used to bring inside Iran to kill the Iranian people. So this has been verified. This has been verified by so many people. Even the prince has referred to
Okay.
it, right? So yeah.
So here's what I will say. I'm 100% sure that you're right. In fact, I would be a bit surprised that if there were no involvement from Pakistani Shias, I would actually be surprised. I'm really only asking this from you so that I can show the small circle of people that I have here that I talk with every day about these matters, and we discuss things about what is happening, especially in Iran. I can show them and I can point to them that this is what our some of our people are aiding, and they would be horrified to see that, by the way. So you don't have to share the evidence with me now that you've told me that you've seen it through Iran International. I'll go look it up, but I'm really sorry that something of that sort is happening. But unfortunately, yes, there are people here amongst the Shias who can be expected to do that sort of thing. Also, Armin, there's something I would like to say here. I would like to single out this trait of yours which is for appreciation, basically, where you go out and talk to people who might not be on the exact same page as you are, and you handle their questions quite gracefully. The little time that I've observed you talking to different people and engaging with them, I have only seen you talk in a manner that changes hearts and minds. I would really like to single that trait out because this is one of the things that if you retain, a lot of people who have any doubt about what you're saying, it will very quickly become sympathetic to the cause. Uh, yeah.
Thank you. I'll try to do that more. I don't do that with anybody that has blood on their hands, but for anybody else, I'll try to keep that in mind. I just wanted to say that when you said I'm sorry for our people, this is not your people. Okay, don't like you don't have to say sorry for that. Look, what does this got to do with you? Okay, your people are people who have shared similar values with you, right? Viewed as a terrorist group that you don't belong to, so don't refer to them as our people just because they come from the same country that you came from. Doesn't mean they have anything to do with you. So you're not associated with them, and you don't have to be sorry about them. Okay, you are in our team. You're on our side, and we are your people. Okay, they are not your
Uh,
people. We are your people, and you are our people.
That really means a lot. And the least I can do is try to talk to the people who are present here and try to show them the right side of things so that they can be on the right side of history. Because what is happening currently, I promise you that it will be unfolding in Iran, will be taught in history books, and the region as a whole will move forward. Really think that the Iranian people, the cause that they have picked up, that will move the entire region forward. There will be something to look up to. I hope that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you. And hopefully one day we could liberate Pakistan as well
I
together.
absolutely cannot wait. Thank you.
Before we move on, I wanted to recommend to Hassan inside of the school group that we have, there are discussion posts. If you would like to post something in there,
Great.
just letting the other members know that you're looking for information to share with other people within your area, you can start a
Yeah.
discussion post up and then links and different things so it can kind of be one space for you to gather up information to share with friends. I think that would be really beneficial for what you are trying to do.
Oh, yes, that will be helpful. And I already do that. Some of the information that I've come across on the internet and even on this group, I try and regurgitate that information between the small group of people that I interact with. And yes, it'll be helpful if I start interacting with this group more. Thank you for pointing that out, BT. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, next is, I don't know how to say it, Marku?
Before Marcus speaks, I just want to remind people that we're recording this and we're going to put it on YouTube. All right, Marcus, sorry about that. Go ahead, Marcus. You unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. So, Armin, just a quick shout out to you. Really appreciate all the content you've been doing. I've been following you and Goldie for about 1.5 weeks now. And I'm from Finland. I don't know if you even know where that is, but
Yeah, of course.
we are very close to Russia. And I have a couple of Iranian friends, and one of them is a pretty famous comedian here. But I have to say, like, I'm so much rooting for you guys, like getting your country back. And I already told my Iranian friends that if it becomes like a safe place to go, I'll take my family to vacation there and all that stuff. But my point on the political side was basically like there's so much like disinformation and all this stuff about, you had the Mujahideen and these leftists that I watched the UN assembly, and it was just a disgraceful because they never even said the Shah's name there, even though even my friends, one of them was like, yeah, like it's got to be the Shah. But my point is, like, if from all of the groups that I've seen, the Shah has been the one that's been the most, I don't know, it's been so like I want to bring democracy there. And I just don't understand why are these getting in social media, these leftists are getting so much shout. And I don't know if it's algorithms, but or is it the grand plan as from the globalist or whatever, but I mean it's been just weird to look at all this stuff. And I've been having to tell my friends like, there's a revolution happening in Iran, and even the friend of mine who's a comedian went on in Finnish national TV to talk about. Of course, he's talking these in Finnish, but I think you can get English subtitles. But he's been saying like, yeah, of course, there's going to be casualties, and but at the end of the day, everybody wants a free Iran, and I think the whole world wants a whole free Iran. And even though I have to say, from a geopolitical standpoint, like Trump is playing the geopolitical like game, in my opinion, even though he's on the Iranian side. But if you think about Maduro, oil that's was going to Cuba and wherever, and then there's then Iran's, who's predominantly the oil beneficiary, is China these days. You gotta have to think about this from geopolitical side, that there's a little bit of more of a high level game going up and above as well.
Okay, a lot of good points. Those are some really good points. First of all, for people who don't know what Marco is referring to, Masih Ali-Najad was the person that they took from as a representative of the Iranian side to the United Nations Security Council to talk about the revolution that is happening in Iran, which was disgusting for a lot of Iranians to watch, because a lot of Iranians have been trying to tell Westerners that Masih Ali-Najad doesn't represent us. She has been trying to compete with Prince Reza Pahlavi because she wants to be the main person in attention rather than the prince, that the Iranian people are dying to shout out his name, so to get his name to the whole world. She's the person. She has done so many disgusting things, but the most recent one is that right when the revolution started, when videos were coming out of Iran, she was cherry picking the videos that didn't have any mention of Pahlavi on them on her social media, just because she didn't want to promote Pahlavi. Even though Iranian people were giving their lives to say the name Pahlavi to the whole world, she was not posting those on purpose, and she was only mostly posting the ones that says "Death to the dictator, death to Khamenei," because she sees Pahlavi as competition. A lot of Iranians, when they watched that, they were very disgusted to see that she went there to act like she's representing the Iranian people, but she didn't mention Princess of Pahlavi a single time, which is the main thing that the Iranian people are fighting for unanimously. That's every single chant, everywhere around Iran is basically about bringing Pahlavi back, and she didn't mention him once. And that's the person that they picked to come in the Security Council to talk about Iranians, which is an embarrassment, if not a betrayal. Regarding your point regarding democracy, that's actually a very important point for people to know, because a lot of people think king means not democracy. But as Marcus said, that he noticed that Princess of Pahlavi's entire message has always been about democracy. In fact, that is bringing sovereignty back to the Iranian people has always been his message in the past 47 years. His entire books, all of his speeches, every single place that he has gone to speak is always about bringing power back to the people. He always claims that he has zero power, and all the power he has is the power that the Iranian people give him, and he's just reflecting the power of the Iranian people. When it comes to his choice, for what form of government he wants Iran to have, he says he only has one vote, and a referendum will decide whether we're going to be a constitutional monarchy or a republic. He was actually earlier more leaning towards a republic. He was actually biased towards not a constitutional monarchy himself, but because so many constitutional monarchists didn't like to hear that, he stopped mentioning about his preferences, and he just talks about, we just wait for the referendum. So it's interesting, because a lot of people think that he's fighting for monarchy, but his single vote, which is only one vote, was actually at some point not even for a constitutional monarchy himself. But right now he doesn't talk about that. He just focuses on Iranian people having to make the decision themselves. Why do leftists against them? You said the whole world wants a free Iran. That's actually not true. The leftists don't seem to want that. A lot of Iranian leftists, for example, are trying to make sure that the revolution is not successful. Some of them are actually openly now Iranian leftists now supporting the Islamic Republic. They used to hide that, but now they're openly supporting it, calling the protesters terrorists, right? These are people, there are some leftists in Iran who used to be part of Zan Zindagi Azadi, and now they are calling the protesters terrorists because they don't want any revolution with the brand Pahlavi to succeed, because their agenda is not a free Iran. Their agenda is not a prosperous Iran. Their agenda is to fight the imperialist West. Their agenda is to fight Zionism. That's their agenda. And if the Islamic Republic goes and a government comes that is an ally of Israel, an ally of the United States, they, in their mind, well, the Islamic Republic is better. Because with all the problems that they have with the Islamic Republic, because the Islamic Republic has been fighting leftists, sometimes, executing on them, they think at least the Islamic Republic, at least it's anti-imperialist. At least the Islamic Republic is anti-Zionist. So if the revolution is going to be succeeding with the Pahlavi brand, they want it to not succeed at all. They don't care about the Iranian people. They don't care about freedom. They don't care about prosperity. They just wanted to destroy Israel and United States, and that's their main agenda. And everything else that they say. This is why many of the classical liberal values that in the West were successful when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to gay rights, when it comes to minority rights. These people have jumped on all of those things without that actually being their goal. These are the success of classical liberal values, in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. These people have hijacked that, they turned that into their branding, and they act like they're fighting for those things, but all of that is a show. This is why we mistrust people who call themselves feminists, or like we have a lot of doubt with people who are activists for the LGBT community, because their goal is not equal rights for women or LGBT. This is all just a show, and their main goal is to just destroy Israel and United States and the Western world order as it is right now. Everything else is excuse. Human rights is an excuse. LGBT rights is an excuse. Women rights is an excuse. Those are all just a show for their actual agenda to turn down the global order as it is right now. And this is true for many leftists around the world. It's also true for leftists in Iran, right? So yeah, no, it's not. They don't want a free Iran. They want to destroy Israel and the United States. When it comes to oil, I just want to point this out. When they say that, oh, America wants to come take your oil, they talk about it as if America wants to come steal the oil. Okay, if they take Venezuelan oil or Iranian oil, they're going to buy the oil. They're not going to steal the oil. You know who's stealing the oil right now as we're speaking? China is stealing Iran's oil. Once Iran is free, if Iranian oil goes to the United States, it's going to go to the United States at market prices. Unlike right now, that is going to China at a discounted, very discounted price. So when America actually gets Iranian oil, which is good, we want America to get Iranian oil because that's going to strengthen our bond. They buy, we sell. That's going to strengthen our bond. Come take our oil. Just make sure you pay the fair price for it. Come take it for sure. We don't want charity. We don't want America to come and help out just because every country should prioritize their own national interest first. The reason we want cooperation based on mutual interest. Nobody is asking for charity. So if Americans are going to be involved and they're going to benefit from it because they're going to have more access to oil, great. Buy the oil, we sell the oil, we trade, we have stronger bonds. Why is it that coming for like people like, oh, you want the oil? Why is that a dirty word? They buy, we sell, we make the money. So yeah, come for the oil, and we should be advertising that. We should be advertising that. We should be like, hey, you're going to benefit from this. If Iran is free, United States is going to benefit from this because it has more access to energy now, and we're going to benefit from this because we can sell it to America at a fair price rather than the Chinese at a discounted price. So
But
did I
like
answer?
they want the
Yeah.
US to be sanctioned essentially to like bring down the US
Huh?
capital system. They want the US sanctioned to like bring down the US capital system. Like they don't want the US to even buy oil at market price. They want the US to like struggle to have to like get oil and be like pushed to the point of like economic collapse to the point where they have to end capitalism and capitulate with ending capitalism.
You're talking about the
Yeah,
commies. That's what they want.
Yes.
I just
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
point out there that I wasn't saying anything of what the fair price is, but I'm just saying like if 60%
I
of
wasn't.
the
But
Chinese
I
oil is
wasn't. I
coming from
wasn't.
Iran, it's like,
Mm.
well, there has to be some discounts, of course, if you're buying that kind of lot. But I'm just saying like that you guys, the Iranian people, have had no say in the negotiations. It's been done by the Khomeini and their
RGC.
establishment. Yeah.
But Marco, what were you saying? I wasn't negating anything you're saying. I was just using your points to add to it. But what were you saying regarding the discount, Marco? I didn't catch that point.
Yeah, like every country, negotiates like bilaterally
Yeah.
usually. So
Yes.
they might get some kind of discounts.
The discounts I'm talking about is insane. I'm not talking about the normal discounts that you would get because of high volume. Okay. Those are natural discounts. Okay. The discounts that China is getting from the Islamic Republic for their oil, that is basically like they're like stealing. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
It's
because
insane.
of the
It's,
sanctions.
yeah. Well, because they use the oil to fund terrorism.
Yeah,
The sanctions
exactly.
make sense. This
Yeah.
because the oil and gas money from the Islamic Republic goes to funding Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hashd Shabi, Kataib Hezbollah, Zainabiyun, right? So they have to sanction it. The Iranian people wanted the United States to sanction the oil because it's not being used to fund the Iranian people. It's being used to fund IRGC and its proxies.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
great part of it. I mean, getting Iran back into the normal market, is the great
Yeah.
thing that nobody's like advertising, and I find that very disconcerting. I'm just trying to add to your point, Armin. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you're
No, I get it.
discrediting anything from my end. Just go search for the right wing stuff, and you'll get the right information. Just saying that it's the algorithm as well. So if you're just using your own
I don't
historic
think
account,
so. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I think I'm all over the algorithm.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Let's
anyway.
move on. Let's move on to the next person.
Okay, next we have Francesco, and then Austin and DDOM. You two are up next after that. So be ready.
Don't forget to mute your mic if you're not speaking.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about media manipulation by the point that Austin brought. And this is the way I see it. Of course, I can be wrong. I'm just a guy on the internet, so it's not. But what I see that in free society, generally the truth comes out. And it's true that the USA government manipulated the media, and Mark Zuckerberg talked it openly in the biggest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan. So, yeah, and generally the way it is done is by inducing biases, though it's not just censoring people because that doesn't work well. And you don't generally do it directly. So you don't intervene directly with Google or Facebook, but you use other companies. For example, I don't know, Disney that wants to censor comments on Snow White and uses copyrights to do so. But right now, the media is the freest that it's ever been after Elon bought X. And so the threshold for information has kind of changed. The thing that we should worry about is the media that comes from abroad. For example, TikTok, they promote everything that's insane. And there are foreign governments that have programs like the Chinese government has the Wu Mao army to basically change the opinions. And there are literally bot farms. So there are like rooms full of phones, and those are used to basically push a narrative. And we need to be careful because you cannot do the same in China. So they are using the platforms to basically promote anything that, like, who should care about a bridge built in China, right? Why does it pop in the feed? That gets promoted by bot farms because the Chinese government wants to show an image of progress within China while everything is basically rotting within. And then there are medias that are considered legitimate, like Al Jazeera, the BBC, that takes clips. And I mean, Trump had sued the BBC, right? Because they cut what he said during the January 6th speech in a way that didn't convey the truth. And this thing get amplified by all the other medias. Then, of course, you can invite idiots to talk. And there are platforms like Piers Morgan, for example, that doesn't fail to invite idiots to talk. And that gets amplified. The best way to lie is with facts, saying the truth.
by framing. For example, you just put very strong images on the news, and that somehow causes an emotional response. You can do what is done now for Iran. You just move on talking about Greenland. To be honest, the events of Iran are way more important than what happens on that block of ice. Yeah, I don't think it is done on purpose. You can connect something that's not connected and disconnect what is not connected. Sometimes you just focus on one thing for a lot of time and you get the wrong idea to people. Let's say Gaza, it was all over the media for basically years. So that convinces people that, of course, a genocide is happening. And then another thing that is done for the opposite reason, you want basically to normalize crime, to never connect the dots. For example, you always see people kidnapped or shot, but you never tell who does it. It's just a report in the news, and that somehow normalizes violence.